Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. It's your boy D Black coming back with another SmackDown review. Alright, well, SmackDown tonight was garbage. I mean, it was boring. Alright, so we're not going to waste time. We're going to get to it, match by match and promo by promo. It was bad. Tonight's show just uh anyway, we start off with Sami Zayn. He comes out, saying for about the first time in 6 months, for the last 6 months, people was booing him and everything and stuff, and everybody turned against him, because before everybody was cheering him and stuff like that, and now everybody done turned, against him and everything and stuff, and then he's telling those people they can kiss his tail and stuff, but he said he could tell them that if he was petty, he could tell him to kiss his tail and everything. And then those people who doubted him and didn't say he can get the job done and everything, he says again that he tells those people to kiss his tail too. But he said if he was petty, that's what he would say and stuff. And then, he goes on and says that, um, he's just going to take it in stride because tonight, is a night for them, to celebrate him, and then now he can call himself, as far as a Grand Slam champion. He said that he's a main eventer at, WrestleMania, and then he's now undisputed champion, and they can't take that away from him. Then Cody Rhodes, he comes out and stuff, and then Cody tells him that he's out there because he was there, when he won his, championship and everything, and Sami was there, to congratulate him and stuff and shake his hand and stuff. So Cody tells him that he's out there to do the same thing, to shake his hand and stuff. He congratulates him on winning the title and stuff like that. So they shake hands and they embrace. And then, Sami tells Cody, like, hey, look, why are you really out here? Tell the truth why you're out here. And then as Cody's about to talk, then Jey Uso comes out, saying that he is, he's proud of Sami and everything, but he tells Sami that he has to, go at him and everything and win the belt, win the title, and take it back, to the bloodline, to his family. And then Cody goes on and talks about Jay, about him doing things for the Roman Reigns and everything and stuff like that. And then Cody, eventually says that he wants to have a rematch with Sami. And Sami tells Cody, he's not doing that. He's not entertaining that now and stuff like that, because he is champion and stuff, right? And he reminds Cody, when Cody told him, as long as he has the title, he'll never, as long as he has the title, he never will, meaning that as long as Sami has the title, Cody will never have it and stuff. And he says he's not going to lose it and he's not going to, defend it against, Jay. And then he tells Jay, as long as he has the title and everything, the title's in the family because him and Jay are supposed to quote unquote be friends, family, and stuff like that. And then he looks at both of them and he tells them, to leave him alone, to stay away from him. And then Adam Pearce comes out, and he's saying about the stuff that happened with Nick Aldis and Gunther last week, and so he's the one that's in charge and everything. He tells Sami that, he has to find him a challenger and stuff. And Sami said that, he, why? Because why doesn't he have to say so? Any say so in who he has to face or anything like that? And then that's when he goes into the spiel about what happened to Nick Aldis and stuff like that. And then he tells him that Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes, will be the ones that have a match tonight, for the number one contender to who's going to face Sami Zayn, which will be next week on Raw. So that's interesting. and stuff. So that gets started. So you have the match tonight between Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes, which is going to be for the main event. Then you got Kathy back there talking to Charlotte. Flair asking her, why she interfered in the match, with Jade and stuff like that. And then Charlotte saying that, hey, Jade caused her, to advance, as far as Queen of the Ring or for a title shot or whatever. And then she said, she just, got everything that she deserved and that she was just doing the favor. Jade, interfered in her match, so he interfered in Jade's match. Then Alexa Bliss comes out and says that she didn't know that, she told Charlotte that she didn't know she was going to be at, Night of Champions and stuff like that. So they have their little, dispute or bicker, whatever the case may be, and stuff. And then Tiffany, because Charlotte mentioned the fact that Alexa did tag with Tiffany Stratton and stuff, and then Tiffany comes out talking about she didn't really want to be her partner or such and such, whatever the case may be, and everything. And Chelsea Green comes out, and everything. So you know, eventually Charlotte shuts down Alexa, and then she walks out with to the ring and stuff. So we have Charlotte Flair, Tiffany Stratton, and Chelsea Green um, facing Jade, Cargill, B-Fab, and Michin. The match was kind of crappy and everything. There was some botches. Chelsea Green's really lost, you know, a lot of her in-ring ability and stuff, and it was just crazy. You know, it, but anyway, who cares about the match? Chelsea, she ends up getting jaded by Jay Cargill, and Jay Cargill, B-Fab, and Michin, they win the match. Then we get backstage. You got Sami Zayn still complaining. Even though he has the championship and everything, he's still finding out a way how to complain, you know. And so then he goes and he sees Johnny Gargano still laying across, stuff and everything. And he thanks Johnny for being there, because if it wasn't for him, he wouldn't have been able to, win the title and stuff like that and stuff. So I'm thinking that he's trying to encourage Johnny Gargano to get up. So eventually, somewhere down the line, I think that's match is going to happen between Johnny Gargano and Sami Zayn. And I don't think Sami Zayn realizes that he's pushing himself in that situation and stuff. But anyway, we get a match with Ray Phoenix and Kingo, the Triple A champion against Ray Phoenix for the Triple A Cruiserweight title and stuff. The matches it was pretty fast. It was a very fast paced match and stuff and everything. But in the end, Ray Phoenix wins. And then we got Kathy Kelly talking to Julia and everything, saying that, talking about what happened with Blake Monroe coming to attack her and stuff like that. And saying that anytime that she would, anytime, any place, she'll fight Blake Monroe. And then Kiana James comes out and everything. So Kiana James faces, tells her about, don't forget about her and everything because, she's still trying to get at Julia. But even though Julia did beat Kiana last week and everything, Kiana still wants to have some fling with her and stuff. And all of a sudden, Blake Monroe comes out and she attacks Julia, throws into some crates and everything and stuff, and then tell her not to forget her and everything because she's coming. And then Kiana James want to come over there and start talking crap to Julia too, but didn't know that Blake Monroe grabbed her and smacked her up against some crates also and everything and got down in her face and told her basically what she told Julia and stuff. So, and then we got Jimmy Uso, Jacob Fatu, and Royce Keys. You know, I guess they're talking about, Royce Keys is basically asking Jacob Fatu, where does he, stand and everything because it was him that was there for him for the last 14 years or whatever and stuff, being there for him, having his back, and stuff like that. So he says, that he considers himself family and stuff like that. And then when he says that he can, he considers, Jacob as family, Jimmy looked at him and says, "I don't think so." And then we get the segment with Trick Williams and Lil Yachty, as he was talking, and as he's about to start talking, Carmelo Hayes comes out, and Carmelo, saying that Ricky Starks didn't get the job done, so now he should be the one that faced Trick Williams, as far as the U.S. title is concerned and stuff, you know. And then they go on and have their little say and everything. Carmelo, says that the title is a workhorse title. He tells Trick Williams that the title is a workhorse title. He made the title what it is. He put prestige on the title, and then that Trick Williams, made the title into an accessory and stuff. And everything. And then Lil Yachty gets in there, says his little bit and everything and stuff like that. You know, um, he tells him that he can have the a match, but it won't be a title match and stuff. So next week on SmackDown, it'll be Trick Williams going against Carmelo Hayes. We already know what the story is going to be behind that. It ought to be some kind of shenanigans happen, or Carmelo beats Trick Williams to get the shot at the U.S. title, which will probably be for at Saturday Night Main Event or for SummerSlam. One of the two. Saturday Night Main Event will be coming up on July 18th, and we know SummerSlam is on the 1st and 2nd of August. And then we get a little skip with Danhausen with Matt Cardona. They're talking about Danhausen is talking about, the match that he's going to have with Jade McDonough and stuff like that. And he was asking Matt Cardona, was he going to be coming out to the ring, with him? And then he tells Matt Cardona, to turn some type of knob and everything. You got Kit Wilson and Miz sitting down, on a chair together and everything. So he turns the knob up and everything. It gives the Miz and Kit Wilson an extra jolt and stuff. So I guess it's like frying his brain. Then um, Matt Cardona and Danhausen, they just leave him. And then we get the match with Brie Bella against Lainey Ried. Again, the match, it wasn't good. It was some missed spots. It was a little sloppy. I mean, there was some good moments in it, but nothing really to talk about. I don't even know. I mean, it's just crazy. But anyway, Lenny Reed, she kicks Brie Bella in the head and she wins the match. And then we got the War Raiders, you know, um, talking to R-Truth and Damian Priest. Damian Priest tells him, Nick Aldis, is not there and stuff. So we have to go talk to Adam Pierce and eventually get them, if he says that they can have a match, then they'll do the match. Will put their titles up against the AAA titles. I guess that's how it's going to be. Well, either it's going to be the SmackDown tag titles, that are going to be on the line. So we'll see what happens next week. Then we got Finn Balor and Cody Rhodes. Talking to Cody, Finn telling Cody that he thought he'd be the one that would be facing him. And then he tells Cody to go out, and do his thing as far as Jey Uso is concerned, beat Jey Uso and stuff, and then go on and, beat Sami Zayn, next week, as far as the title is concerned. And then we get Tama Tonga, you know, um, coming up to Finn Balor with Tala Tonga, and Tama Tonga, um, gets in his face and everything and starts talking to him and stuff. And then Tonga grabs Finn Balor and just destroys him. And then Tama Tonga gets into Finn's face and says he's changing things, and it starts with him, being the first one to feel it, and then they walk off. And then we get the match with Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes. The match, for what it was worth, I guess it was okay. It was kind of like, the prediction. You know what was going to happen. It was, predictable. Jay was not even going to win this. So, Crossroad wins the match and everything. They went a little bit back and forth and stuff like that, but it was nothing like, a match they had before and stuff and everything. It was a little bit boring, quick. But anyway, so now what Jay's going to do now when he has to go face Roman Reigns. How's that going to turn out? Because now, he lost the triple threat, and then now he loses his match one on one with Cody and stuff. So, wonder how the tribal chief is going to be feeling um, come Monday with Jay. It's going to be something to see. But anyway, with that, please don't forget to subscribe, like, share, leave a comment. Let me know how you're feeling and everything. But please, please don't forget to subscribe. Hit that like button and stuff. And I would say thank you for watching. God bless. Deuces. And I'll see you on the next video. Thank you.